Hey everyone, welcome to another $1,000 strap search. I've got my $1,000 in singles here and I'm about to show you what I found. But before I do, let's talk about this week's tip. Now you can imagine how many different purchases I have made over the course of collecting. And not every single one of those purchases has been stellar. I believe I did do a top 10 video on top 10 mistakes. And that's what I wanted to touch on a little bit today. In your collection, you are no doubtedly gonna end up buying something that you just paid too much for. You know something? That's okay. Every one of us has done it. It's all right because in the long run, you have probably made out. The thing is, if you made a mistake, own up to it. Don't dwell on it and move on. If you can correct it, correct it. What I mean is, if you paid too much for a note, fine. You paid too much for a note. If you sit there and hold on to that note, it's going to be a constant reminder to you of the mistake that you made. Maybe you paid too much based on the condition. It happens. It's okay. When I put my collection together, the first thing I want to do is I want to get the note, period, end of story. So that way I have the note and I can always upgrade the note. Now, some people would call that a mistake. Well, it's only a mistake if you paid too much. Don't dwell on it. If you made a mistake and got a note if you overpaid for a note, yes, you can hold on to it forever, or you can just sell the note, be done with it, not have to worry about it, accept the loss, and move on. Sometimes getting rid of that note is the best play because that way it doesn't haunt you. You don't have to think about it every time you see the particular note. So anyway, that's all I wanted to say this week is it's okay if you made a mistake getting a note. I've done it. We've all done it. And maybe you'll see where that comes into play a little later. All right, so I've got my 1,000 singles. Let's get these out of the way. Take a look at what I found this week. This week was kind of slim pickings, but I did find a Where's George? Where's George note, real good condition. I will be logging this one as soon as I am done. Did find another birthday note, 1933. That's January 3rd, or it would be March 1st. Either way, also real good condition. Why don't I find current notes in this good condition? It's always 1933 or something really old. Here, this one is pretty close. You could, at a glance, you can see 1995 and you can see 2001. But no, this would be 1995, the 20th of January. Then I did find some trinaries, 4s, 7s, and 8s. Here's 1s, 2s, and 4s. Another 1s, 2s, and 4s, and we will just double check. No, those aren't the same. Let's see, 1s, 2s, and 7s on this one. And then this one's quad 4s here with a 5th 4. And stars, I think I only got one star. This was the only star that I found in 2017, if I remember right. Yep, just the one. Did find some older notes, not even really that much older. 2001. Looks like a birthday note to start with, but you can't do anything there. 1979. Some people will save this saying, oh, it's a birthday note. No, it's, if anything, it's a birth year note, and that is certainly not rare. So yeah, finding a note that's got a year to start with like that is essentially like 1 in 10,000 or something like that. So it's not ridiculously rare. Like I said, I go through 1,000 notes a week, so I'll find something like that, every other month. So it's not exceptionally rare. And I'm just going through those numbers quickly off the top of my head. Oh no, 1 in 10,000 would be matching those. So that's not even correct on the odds. But yeah, just finding a year like that, it's neat. But I'm sure that, my brother was born in 1979. I'm sure he would have no interest in saving this. So yeah, that's a spender. It would be a spender, except it's a 2001, so I'm not going to spend that. Another 2001 here, and another. This one's actually pretty crisp. A couple light folds in it. 1995, last year for a web note, just double checking, not a web note. 1995 again, not much worse shape than the other one. 1995, decent shape. And the oldest note I found this week, a 1988A, once again, potential for a web note. I it's been over a year since I've found a web note, but I have found like 3 or 4 total while I have been doing my searches. So I know I point it out all the time, and I never seem to find any. They are real tough to find, and they are getting tougher to find now that people are understanding what to look for. All right, so that's what I found this week. What did I pull out of my box? Well, it's something that I know that I paid too much for, but I paid too much for it for a good reason. This is known as a Liberty dollar. Okay. A Liberty dollar, it says $1 Liberty currency, 1/10 ounce silver, 99 fine. And let's see, we'll check out on this side. Negotiable, $1. What is this? I saw this. I've heard of these, and when I saw this one, I had to have it. I have no idea what the actual value is on something like this. I know what it says the value is, and based on what it says the value is, I paid way too much. Who knows? Maybe I got it cheap. Maybe this little sticker here says that it's supposed to have sold for $80. Maybe it is worth 1/10 of an ounce of silver, which would be $2. So I'm not even sure. But yeah, we'll put the price range anywhere from $2 to $80. And I paid about $20 for this, I think it was. So what is this? Okay, well, let's go back in history. When the Federal Reserve was created in the 1913, 1912, somewhere around that, people said, "Oh, Federal Reserve notes aren't backed by anything. They're just garbage. They're going to be worthless, and the dollar is going to crash." That's what they said in 1913. 1933, we went off the gold standard, and when we did that, they said the dollar's going to crash. And of course, it didn't. And then we get to 1964, and we stopped making change out of silver. Guess what they said in 1964? The dollar's going to crash. Well, I was born after 64, and we're still using the dollar. So this is the next incarnation of the sky is falling. This is a Liberty dollar. And what this was simply a receipt for 1/10 of an ounce of silver. And this was conceived in 1996 to be spendable silver. Okay. And let's see here. We'll start with this side. It's a very cool note. Okay, don't get me wrong. It's based on $10 silver base price, and $1 was 1/10 of an ounce. So let's read this here. This is a receipt for $1 given in exchange for the title to 1/10 troy ounce of 0.999 fine silver. The acceptance and use of this $1 receipt is an exercise of the bearer's First Amendment right to petition the government for a silver-based currency as stated in the U.S. Constitution. Which is interesting, because it says the right to petition. Okay, yes, you do have the right to petition. Sure. I have never dove deep into that First Amendment little thing there. So yes, some people say that our currency, according to the Constitution, has to be silver-based. And this says that we just have the right to petition for it. So take that for what it's worth. It's quite different to have the right to petition for it versus the Constitution saying you have to have it. Anyway, so as we dive a little deeper in here, you can see this particular thing was printed in 1998, and it's signed there by the senior economist. For more information, call toll free. You see what we did in the 90s. This is, and then we read this side here. Restricted warehouse receipt terms. Okay, this is important. Remember, this was designed to replace our currency. This was supposed to be spent at stores instead of using our dollar. And I don't know anybody that would have accepted this. Kind of like today's gold back. The gold back is a great idea. Let's make currency out of gold, out of actual gold. I like that idea. It has value because a gold back contains gold. I get that. But you can't spend them anywhere. I've been to Nevada. I've been to Utah. I've been to the places that have these, and There's I have yet to encounter an actual place that takes those for currency because, first of all, they're unusual. Second of all, you have to do math to figure out how much one gold back is worth compared to $1. Anyway, so like I said, this is the 1990s version of the gold back. And when you get a little deeper here, warehouse receipt terms. It is hereby agreed by the bearer that this warehouse receipt is for an undivided interest of 1/10 troy ounce of 9995 silver, and that redemption is restricted to combination with other like warehouse receipts, or the balance may be paid in Federal Reserve notes, so that when combined equal 1 troy ounce of 999, or that they equal 1 troy ounce of silver. Okay, so let's start with that. That means that you have this receipt for silver. Okay, 1/10 of an ounce of silver. And if you try to redeem this at the warehouse, you may or may not get 1 troy ounce of silver or 1/10 of an ounce of silver. Because it says right there, you will either get 1/10 of an ounce or they're going to give you the equivalent in Federal Reserve money. What? What that means is there doesn't have to be a single ounce of silver backing this note. If you try to redeem this, you're going to get silver or Federal Reserve money, which isn't backed by anything. Isn't that interesting? The people who came up with the legacy currency put it on the currency that you may not even get silver for this, even though we're saying it's silver and silver is the greatest thing in the world. So that's interesting. Okay, this warehouse receipt at the warehouse let's see. This warehouse receipt at the warehouse identified below shall expire unless renewed or surrendered within 20 years from the date of issue. And as you can see, these were issued right here, June 21st, 1999. See this? This doesn't expire. And this is expired because it's more than 20 years old. So I can understand why nobody would take this, knowing that it would expire. I mean, imagine if this, imagine the run on money if our money expired. This is just insane. And of course, the reason they put an expiration date on there is because they didn't want to have to be dealing with this forever. So by putting an expiration date on it, they can go, oh, yep, this failed, so now we can end it, rather than having to continually. They could be dealing with a person like me trying to redeem one of these 35 years later, because what do you know? The dollar is still a dollar. All right, so what else we got on here? All right. 20 years from the date of issue. The undersigned warehouse official certifies that this silver is insured against, okay, the silver, not the note. The silver is insured against fire and theft. Storage and insurance fees have been prepaid for 5 years from the date of issue. So the note's good for 20 years. You can redeem it for 20 years, but they only insured what's backing it for 5 years. Lots of problems with this little idea, wasn't there? The insurance fees are 1% per year of the value of silver propagated at the time of surrender. Additional fees limited to shipping and handling may be incurred upon surrender of this warehouse receipt. So, yeah, you can spend this as $1, sort of, until you try to redeem it, because then there could be additional fees limited to shipping and handling, which may be incurred upon surrender. So, yeah, of course, you have no idea what those fees are going to be. They could charge anything they want and say, well, that's what the fee was, because it's not even printed on the dollar. Generally speaking, if my phone rang and somebody with a foreign voice read this to me and was trying to sell it to me, I'd identify that as a scam. Okay, but there are people that actually believe in this, and that's the part that blows my mind. It's just amazing, as soon as you put that word silver, as soon as the word silver is in there, people lose their minds. Um, Silver's a bad investment. If you have thousands of dollars invested in silver, um, you should have sold it when it was $28 an ounce because you could rebuy it right now for a much lower price. You had your opportunity to buy it, to sell it, and you blew it. But of course, most people don't want to hear that they made a mistake. It's okay to make mistakes. If you have a 401k, you're going to be invested in all kinds of different things. And the person who's in charge of your 401k is buying and selling different stocks and different assets all the time to ensure the value of that 401k. If you have a mutual fund, that's what a mutual fund does. They constantly buy and sell based on the value of a particular thing. It's amazing because, like I said, when you put the word silver in there, oh, I got silver. Well, silver sucks. Well, I don't care. I'm going to buy more. Well, that makes no sense. Why do people cling to silver? They should be buying and selling with the ebb and flow of the value. That's what you're supposed to do. All right, guys. Anyway, that is my legacy $1 silver note. I am fascinated by this because, like I said, this is what we were all supposed to be spending by now. And like every other sky is falling theory, no, not happening. But it's still a cool piece of history. I had to get one. If you learned anything new, please, hit that like button. If you like what you see and you want to see more, please subscribe. I love reading all your comments. Thanks for watching, guys. I'll see you next week.